Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email us, tmosso@the1916company.com. It is in the description below. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any of our platforms. Reach out to tmosso@the1916company.com for pricing. Today, we discuss a watch launched in 2019, and it was a blockbuster from Grand Seiko. This is part of the Heritage Collection. You are looking at the Spring Drive Automatic SBGA407. So this is known as the Skyflake, a dial very similar to the famous SBGA211 Snowflake. Here we have an infusion of lush and lovely color. So the watch in steel, 40.2 millimeters in diameter, 13.2 millimeters thick from lug tip to lug tip, 48.5 millimeters. And if we include the solid end links of the bracelet, the total distance across the wrist, 52.3 millimeters with a 19 millimeter spacing between the lugs. On my wrist, which is 16 centimeters in circumference, you can see what makes this Skyflake different from most. It has a factory bracelet on it. The vast majority of these were delivered with straps, so this is a rare opportunity to upgrade to a bracelet, yes, which makes the watch sportier, but because it is 100 meters water resistant, adding the bracelet also allows you to avail yourself of all the capabilities of the watch. Now, my 16 centimeter circumference wrist wears it well. I would say that on the bracelet, you can wear it on a wrist as small as 15 centimeters circumference. If you were to take it off the bracelet, you could wear it on a wrist as small as 14 centimeters circumference. And although it's not ultra thin, it is fairly thin. It has a sloped case flank with a domed sapphire, so it will slide underneath a dress cuff. It can still be used as a dress watch. The bracelet features a conforming end link to better mate it to the case visually. And then we have links that include a combination of polished and satin with a little rolled bevel on their edges and then polished outer faces. You can see we have removable links fixed by screws, and that we have two intermediate sized links in there. In case you find yourself in between sizes with the primary links, you've got those intermediates to fine tune the fit. We have a twin trigger release. You can see the external part of the clasp featuring satin, polish, and then media blast, 3 different finishes. The swing arm is robust, thick gauge steel. You have to press both triggers to open it up, quite secure. And then we're going to roll around to the case where you can see the high grade polish applied by Grand Seiko's famed tin plate polishing methods. The machines are rooted in Zaratsu tin plate polishing machines originally made in Switzerland, but the machines today are made and used by the masters in Japan who create these mirror finished cases by holding the surfaces to be milled directly against the spinning tin plates. The foremost practitioners of Zaratsu machine polishing today are the folks at Grand Seiko. And so you get this mirror-like finish that is equivalent to what the Swiss would call black polish. But whereas black polish is generally used on small parts like swan's neck regulators or screws in Swiss movements, here the entire case has been finished that way. And yes, that means this is a handcrafted case. It's also a handmade dial, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Grand Seiko still expects its clients might want to use a strap tool to swap out, so they still include little strap tool holes in the end of the lugs. Although it's a push-down crown, the watch is 100 meters water resistant. You can see we have a dramatically boxed and cambered sapphire that's designed to look like a vintage plexiglass. This is, after all, part of the Heritage Collection that uses a case design very similar to the original Grand Seiko dress watches of the early 1960s. So that's the governing thought behind this design. The dial takes a lot of work, and by a lot of work, I mean, depending on how you count a step of production, it takes up to 80 distinct steps to create this dial. There is everything from 200-ton press stamping to lacquering. And as you can see, it does create a lovely image. It's supposed to be the texture of the snow as driven by the winds outside the Shiojiri studio where these spring drive watches are made. And it does seem to have the texture of snowdrifts in it. It looks a very natural thing, as though it was driven by the forces of nature rather than 80 steps in a facility. But this is a handmade dial, not just the dial base itself, but all the dial furniture, which is cut on tiny diamond-tipped micro milling tools and fashioned by artisans who create these little components all day long, they are then placed by hand and caulked by hand. So several different phases of this dial's fabrication are manual. You can also see why I say Grand Seiko and Rolex co-equally have the best dial quality in the mainstream luxury price range. But the difference is Rolex dials are perfect because they're machine-made. Grand Seiko dials are beautiful because they are extensively artisanal, and none more than the fire-blued steel seconds hand or the knife-like mirror-polished and faceted Dauphine minute and hour hands. Now, this is spring drive, which means a single unidirectional governing wheel, which you can see on the reverse, is used to govern the timing. So the spring drives the mechanism. So it is accurate as quartz, that is 15 seconds per month, but there's no battery, there's no capacitor, there's no stepper motor in this watch. All three hands and the date are driven by the mainspring. The mainspring turns this governing wheel, which creates an induced electrical current, which activates a quartz oscillator, which then creates a back electromagnetic force, a back EMF, that slows down the governing wheel, acting like a brake. So the quartz oscillator brakes the governing wheel magnetically to slow it down and keep proper time. And so this 30 jewel movement is watchmaker built, watchmaker regulated, and when the time comes, watchmaker serviced. Although it does have a quartz oscillator, this is a lifetime movement, not just for your lifetime, but for the multi-generational life of the watch. And it has a 72-hour automatic winding power reserve. It does feature a stop seconds function. It also features a quick set date with the intermediate position of the crown. You can set the date wheel right there. And you can see some of the underlying features here. I'll try to demonstrate them. It uses a magic lever style bidirectional winding system, and if you look very carefully, you can actually see the pawl wheel and the lever right next to the ratchet wheel of the barrel. You can also see a really nice and really intricately detailed click to prevent the barrel from running backwards. There's some handsome, thoughtful, and ingenious details here, and it took a long time to bring automatic spring drive to market. From the first idea to the arrival of automatic spring drive in 2005, 1977 to 2005. This is a remarkable technology, and because the governing wheel moves in one direction, not back and forth like a balance, it drives the seconds hand completely smoothly. It glides without any stop, start, stagger, tick, or tock. It is a unique aesthetic, and this is a beautiful and unique watch that only Grand Seiko could produce. Reach out to Team Osso at the1916company.com for purchase and pricing details, and just in case it wasn't completely obvious, this is a little power reserve for the 3-day power reserve.